Lakewood Civil Service meeting agenda is, Civil Service meeting for February 4th is started. The agenda has been placed in everyone's hand. I'd like to call the meeting to order. All persons that are present here, would you please sign in with your name so that it will be a matter of record. Starting with Jeremy, and then Chris, and Dennis, and Ellen, and then Heidi.
Sure, I'm Sergeant Jeremy Prater, Lakewood Police Department.
Lieutenant Chris Lawler, Lakewood Police Department.
Heidi Wachter, City Attorney.
Dennis Roden, Commissioner.
Mary Pandria, Civil Service Secretary.
Eileen. Eileen.
Ms. Pandrea, it shows that Eileen is with us here, but she is not connected to audio.
Okay.
I'd like to
Usually they try to make me the one that's not connected to audio. There's some sort of mistake.
There she is. Okay, we're all present and Chief Zara has been added. The first order of business is approval of the minutes on January 7th. Do I have a motion for those minutes to be approved?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Eileen, you appear to be on mute, maybe.
This morning, and Tim, you know the weather conditions today. What is this search really going to look like for them?
Eileen, when I first came on, I was muted and no audio, and I had to go to the bottom of the screen and touch these dots, and then these icons came on to unmute and to go on audio.
Eileen, are you able to hear us? Can you hear us? Raise your hand. Heidi, is it appropriate for me to second the motion and us to move on?
Well, the concern I have at this point is I would feel a little differently if it's clear that she can hear us, but without her being able to hear us, I guess you do have a quorum. I know Mary's trying to make a phone call, and I was just going to ask if we have a phone number for board member Bisson, but you do have a quorum even without her. So yeah, you could probably do it that way.
I have a cell phone number for her if you want me to call her real quick.
Yeah, just I don't know what we would tell her other than maybe to try going out and coming back in or something like that, or if she wants to call in rather than just be visible. So, but yes, you have a quorum even without her, so you may proceed accordingly.
I think we should move on. I second the motion. Any discussion?
Yes, I had a question. I think I must have missed this in the last meeting. I do recall that Mary indicated that Officer Mundell has resigned, but I also see in the minutes that Officers Dobson and Babcock also resigned. That's three in a couple of months. It seems to be a high number of voluntary resignations. Do you see some sort of pattern here for people leaving, or just why are these officers leaving?
Let me take a vote on the minute, and we discuss that outside of the.
Here's a result from the web.
All in favor of the approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved. Okay, now let's go with your concerns about the people leaving.
Thank you.
So, Dennis, and I missed the first part of the references. I was talking to Eileen. She's going to disconnect and try reconnecting. But so I know that we had two officers, Officer Babcock and Officer Mundell.
And Officer Dobson.
And Dobson. What we look at is, the reasons they're leaving, and if there's any common themes to why they're leaving, and there really isn't. And we tried to have, very open and clear discussions with each of them. And they all left for very different reasons. And all I can do is take them at face value when they give the reasons. For Jamin Dobson, he said it was partly financial and partly for family reasons, because he's, has a child custody thing going on, is going through a separation, and it just geographically worked better for him. Officer Babcock left to go be a part of the fire services, which is something that he wanted to do. And the day after he left, wished he was still here. And that's one of the topics that we have for discussion on the agenda today. And then Kirsten Mundell was really the frustrating one for me. She, and that was, a week before she was supposed to start the academy. She came to us and just said that it really wasn't her passion. And she was worried about, wasting our time or going through with it and not doing a good job, and said she just didn't have the drive to do it that she thought she would or did at one time. And we had several different people try to talk to her to see if there was something more to it. And we never got anything other than that it just wasn't something she wanted to do anymore. I even tried to convince her just to finish the academy, and then, she could be a lateral for another department. I just wanted her to be successful, not, it didn't have to be here, but she didn't even want to do that. I mean, she was done. And I gave her, I'd received notice on, I think, December 28th, something like that. And I, going into the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day weekend, I told her just to think about it till Monday. And I presented all these other scenarios for her. And come Monday, she still just did not have the interest in it. So it's unfortunate. If there is something more there, we couldn't find it. And that's with any of the candidates. So it's hard to say that there's any one reason why they would be leaving.
I understand. Thank you. Like you say, Chris Mundell, she was very, very enthusiastic, in the pre-employment process, and she was so gung-ho. So I guess everyone is really surprised that she's lost her passion all of a sudden. That's very surprising. But thank you very much for the information.
Okay, let's move on to new business. First item of business is certification of the code enforcement officer eligibility list. Do I have a motion to certify the code enforcement officer eligibility list?
So moved.
A second. Do we have any discussion?
Was there only just this one person who applied? Or were there others who fell out?
Just the one, Dennis. We did it.
Just the one?
Yeah, we did an internal only job posting. So it was only announced within the city of Lakewood to current employees.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the code enforcement officer eligibility list, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the list is approved. Next item on the new business is certification of evidence technician eligibility list. Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the evidence technician eligibility list?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the approval of the evidence technician eligibility list, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The list is approved. Now, Heidi, before we go into oh, I'm sorry. I'm not ready yet. I'll pass. The next item on the agenda is a
I don't mean to.
Uh-oh. I think we gained Eileen by phone, but lost David.
I was just wondering because my screen was freezing and I didn't know if it was my computer or everyone else's.
Hey, David, could you repeat what you said? We lost you.
Dennis, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Let me repeat this.
One quick second, David. Mary,
Yes.
do we want to see if Eileen can hear and test her since it looks like she's in by phone?
Eileen, can you hear us?
Well, it shows that she's muted too.
She is muted right now.
Can you unmute her, Mary?
No. Brianna, can you help us?
Yeah, so I'm requesting Eileen to unmute herself. You should be receiving some type of notice asking you to unmute. So if you could tap the 3 buttons.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Welcome to the meeting.
Oh, thank you, finally.
Okay, we're going to our third item on our new business, and that's the reinstatement on the lateral police officer eligibility list. Do I have a motion to for the reinstatement on the lateral police officer eligibility list?
So moved.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second?
It's been moved in second. Discussion.
I think the chief's memo says it all.
Yeah, as
Used
far
to
as I'm
be
concerned,
a fine officer.
the only thing I have is that I think we should include in our minutes the date that he departed, because it's part of the rule that says within 1 year. But there was no dates in the chief's letter or in the person's letter that when they left, and I think that was January 28th or something like that. So if we can have that included, that's all I have for the discussion.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Adding
No,
to
that's
that,
not good.
What's that? Dennis?
adding to that, it appears that if he was beyond the 1 year limitation, we would also have an agenda item to approve an extension beyond 1 to 5 years,
Yeah.
and then to approve it also.
Any additional discussion?
No, I'm good. I agree with what you guys are saying.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Then the reinstatement is approved. Heidi, on our next items, I'd like to avoid a executive session. Can't we just, since the commissioners all have the information, can't we just vote based upon the documentation we have without going into the
Yeah, you're not ever obligated to go into executive session. The reasons executive sessions are allowed are in the event that the board would view a public discussion as somehow jeopardizing the process. And if you don't feel that you've got a problem that way, then there is not a need for an executive session. The way that you could have issues in this particular setting, or if you think something that could be discussed would impact somebody's belief in privacy, but they've submitted their materials to hire. There's a degree to which they've sort of offered themselves into the public setting to begin with. So no, you're never obligated to have an executive session.
Have both of the commissioners received the documentations on both of the candidates that we're speaking of?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Do either of you see any reason we need to go into an executive session to discuss it?
Not by me.
I don't see a reason. My only question was that we are referring to 9.7 in our rules concerning unsuitability. And it appears that the request to remove candidate FIOP is because of non-response. Is there another, and this is to Mary, another part in our rules where we can just take this individual off the list because of non-response rather than using the unsuitability criteria or paragraph to do it?
I don't
Or
know.
if this is the only way to do it, then that's fine.
I think this is the only way to do it, and he would just be removed because of failure to respond.
Then we might want to consider, David? Yeah, then we might want to consider in the future, perhaps revising 9.7 to not only return to talk about unsuitability, but also for non-response to queries.
Okay, I'll take a look at that.
That's all I have.
Okay, in that case, can we start and get a motion to remove candidate Ryan J. Fiak from the eligibility list?
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and second. Is there any further discussion?
Not by me.
The only discussion, I do have a discussion. I think it's an administrative thing and we don't have to vote on it, but I think the date in the document that we received that says January 28, 2020 should be January 28, 2021. And I don't think that has any impact on the voting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The applicant has been approved to be removed from the eligibility list. Our second action I'm trying to get the right name here now. There's so many papers that I couldn't. The second is the approval of removal of Robert Aldera. Is that where it's announced from the eligibility list? Do I hear a motion to approve the removal?
The motion is to, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing
Not by
none,
me, no.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has been approved to remove Officer Ardera from the eligibility list. Before we go any further, I would like to make sure that each of the commissioners understand that if we downloaded any of that documentation, it needs to be destroyed. It needs to be, what's the word? I can't even think of the word now. Run through a
Shredded?
shredder. Needs to be shredded because it is confidential information.
Okay, thank you.
Chief Examiner's report.
Yeah, we've had a promotion in the police department. Detective Tim Borchardt is now sergeant. And we've opened up the job posting for entry-level police officer on January 28th. It'll close April 14th. We've scheduled testing, 2 Saturdays, April 24th and May 8th. And we're hoping, being that testing is on Saturday, that may prompt a few more people to join in. And I think to date we have about 32 applications.
Wow.
Well, let's see how many follow through.
Right. Right. And hopefully everyone will pass the exams. And that's all I have for my report.
It appears that we've been doing real well with it. I hope we have a good group of candidates this time. Anyone else have anything to add for the good of the order?
David?
Yeah.
One thing, just to make the commissioners aware, kind of an interesting note. We recently did a retirement survey, and the results of the survey show that over the next 3 to 4 years, about 35 commissioned people will be retiring. So we are going to be doing a lot of hiring in that period of time. And hopefully, I'm working on something with the city manager to be more proactive about it and try to get ahead of it. But just so you all know, we're going to be seeing a lot of activity in hiring.
A lot of those probably are the ones that came over with the initial group. That 40 that came over.
Right, right.
That's good to hear, Chris, because, and it looks, I'd like to compliment you all for looking at all of the turnover and, knowing looking for causes of turnover and also retirement workforce planning in the future. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Eileen, we can pick you up as a lateral if you're interested.
I just hit 7 years, so I'm comfortable where I'm at. But thanks, Mike.
The thing is, if you pick her up in a lateral, she'll want the top, the most salary that you can offer. So be prepared.
I'm good.
Assistant chief, that's all she'll accept.
Oh no, just worker bee is much easier.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Anything to add to the meeting? If
No.
not, thank you all. Our meeting is adjourned.